D.C. spin their wheels in a fake budget debate that really doesn't address our trillion-dollar problems. American citizens are launching strikes and protests against debt, social spending cuts, the lack of jobs, and the obvious unfairness of subsidizing everything from war to the banking system. In Wisconsin, teachers striking in protest of the governor's plan to strip organizing rights for public employees. Supporters there have flooded the state capitol, and high school students are in fact marching in support of their teachers. That's the scene in Wisconsin. Back here in New York City, MTV's Andrew Jenks has helped organize a rally of NYU students to protest their staggering debt load. NYU students and so many of America's college students, but NYU students collectively have $659 million in debt. That's the single largest debt burden of any nonprofit university in America. It's a nonprofit university, and yet they've got their students in more debt than half the banana republics on the planet. One student on Facebook calculated her debt at $120 grand and added, not to mention, you can't get a job when you graduate because obviously our politicians have been more concerned about things other than job creation. Andrew Jenks joins us live from Washington Square Park at New York University. And first of all, before we get into all the mathematics, and what are these get-ups you're wearing?
Well, right now I have a shirt that has how much debt a friend of mine is in. He graduated from New York University with $200,000 in debt, and everyone behind me is wearing a similar shirt with how much debt they are in, and it's quite staggering once you look at all of the numbers and all of the people that are in so much debt. As you know, Dylan, the average student in college in America leaves university $24,000 in debt. So that's that's some version of indentured servitude, if you will.
What about those masks? What are you guys planning there?
What are we? Excuse me?
With these masks of yours.
We're all wearing masks to show that right now, as a whole, we may not be doing enough. And we sort of have these blank faces, and we're looking around, and we're not sure what to do. And in the coming months, we hope to change that. We hope to have faces to these numbers, and that's ultimately our goal.
And so, to walk us through what beyond what you just said, what your objectives, what your goals are in this protest and in other protests that you may be planning.
Well, I think it's important that I'm not just some spokesperson and that, I have some show on MTV and I'm able to have a microphone and be on a show like yours. I think it's important for other people as well, especially students at colleges who really do believe in these issues. And, one student who I met here, his name is Charlie. He runs NYU Local, which is the unofficial student paper at New York University. And he is qualified to really speak on all these various accounts that are affecting students. I mean, look right here. He's on the low end at $20,000, Dylan.
Charlie, how much do you hear from the students about the debt at NYU?
Well, I mean, it's a huge issue here. I mean, it has been for years. Even NYU acknowledges that their financial aid is not up to par with other schools around the country. But when you really think about it, I mean, this issue goes beyond NYU, and we have to really try and sort of start a dialogue here because, as you've already mentioned, $659 million in aggregate is just insane. But I think that the goal has to be to move the conversation forward to a state and federal level because so many people are being left behind as college graduates have almost 10% unemployment. So we really have to figure out what we can do to start bringing down these levels of debt that really leave a huge impact on college graduates.
Charlie, do you think the tuition at NYU and other schools would be as high as it was if it wasn't easy to get a loan to an 18-year-old who has no idea what they're getting themselves into frequently, and they're not going to have to deal with it for 5 or 10 years after they start the process? In other words, how much is the incredible tuition tied to the banking system and their desire to lay you guys with debt?
Well, that's exactly the problem, man, and that's something that I write a lot about on my website, NYU Local. When you think about it, people trying to make a financial decision that's going to affect the next 2 decades of their life when they're 17 and 18 years old is crazy.